Hey everyone, today I'm coming to you with a review on the brand new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 Spider-Man 2099. Now I did get this figure at GameStop Canada, and I have to say when this figure was revealed, rather leaked let's be honest, I, amongst a lot of people, were very disappointed with what this figure looked like. It looked like a very cheap Hasbro action figure, did not look like a Marvel Legend, and some people went as far as calling it a Happy Meal toy, which if I'm honest, at the time I kind of did agree with, but now that I got this figure in person, all of my worries really are gone. I absolutely love the animated proportions. It looks very good next to the other figures in this wave, and just in general, not only with this figure, but all the figures in this wave, they are way better, at least in my opinion, in person than based off of the renders and the leaks. But without further ado, I have a lot to say about this figure, so let's get into the review for the brand new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 Spider-Man 2099. Now, as always, I do want to start off with the packaging for this figure. It is in the same kind of retro carded Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 packaging that is with all the other figures in this wave. I did voice extensively how much I don't like this packaging in the Miles Morales video, as well a little bit in the Gwen video, but specifically this video. But in short, it takes us away from getting to Build-A-Figure. We did get the Cyborg Spider-Woman Deluxe figure along with this wave, which is a $75, $80 figure in Canada, whereas it could have been a free Build-A-Figure, but instead that was sacrificed with these retro cards, because with Legends you either get the retro card or a Build-A-Figure, and I was going to say 9 times out of 10 I'll take the Build-A-Figure, but honestly 10 times out of 10 I will take the Build-A-Figure over the retro card, especially when it isn't even like a unique design across all the figures. It's a cool art, don't get me wrong, but it's exactly the same on all the figures. They could have done a really cool image of each of the figures at least, but they didn't. It just doesn't look that good to me. But that is kind of all I do have to say about that. Don't want to take too long on that. Anyway, you do have the Marvel Legends logo right there, Spider-Man 2099 in the box, and this one specifically is massive, like way bigger than the other ones, and I don't think I've ever seen a retro card be that big. I could be wrong, but that just is weird. I mean, yes, there has been the Rhino and, you know, the Kingpin, but kind of just the mainline ones that are in the standard waves. This is huge. It's very big compared to the Miles and Gwen at least, but there you have Miles, Gwen, and Spider-Man 2099 with claws, which is my main gripe with this figure. I really wish he was included with that. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 logo. There is the price. Very hefty, especially with no Build-A-Figure. On the back, you do have that rather weird and kind of cheap looking render. As you can see, it does not look good. The render does not do justice for this figure, but you also do have images for each of the other individual figures in this wave. I do have reviews for the Miles and the Spider-Gwen out now. Jessica Drew will be next, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I just find that the rendered images here don't look good. Specifically, you know, the full thing, but when you can see them in these squares, you know, they are hiding most of the figure. But yeah, when it's this whole thing, it just does not look good in my opinion, especially with this Spider-Man 2099. But that is kind of all that I have to say with the packaging. Not much more going on. So without further ado, let's get on to the Spider-Man 2099 himself. Here we have the Spider-Man 2099 along with his many accessories, being sadly only a set of fists, and that kind of is my main complaint and gripe with this figure, is the lack of accessories. Specifically, we don't get a set of clawed hands, and those are so important to Spider-Man 2099, especially in the movie, or at least what I've seen in the trailers. The guy is almost using the claws in all the frames, so it's just a huge missed opportunity overall not getting claws. We do get these open hands, which I guess are okay, and I tried to make them look like claws in the thumbnail, but they aren't near as good as claws would have been. We also don't get a unmasked head, which that isn't as bad as not getting claws, but he is going to be unmasked in a lot of it, at least what we've seen in the trailer, so it would have been nice to get that. Maybe we will get a re-release of this figure, but at the same time, I don't want to have to buy this figure again just to get claws and an unmasked head. I just think, you know, with a lot of these figures, especially with the prices going up, they should just nail the design first off, and I do get that they are based off concept art, but just the lack of claws and no extra head here is definitely my main disappointment overall. But for the actual figure itself, I kind of want to go over the sculpt head to toe. So let's start off here with the head sculpt. Very interesting shape that we have going on here, but that does definitely match the animated style throughout. The eyes are very iconic and definitely do capture the essence of Spider-Man 2099 very well. But yeah, not much more going on here. And now the red part on the head is actually a texture. It isn't printed. I thought it was going to be printed when I saw the figure leaked. That goes for the whole figure. This is also textured, which is very nice to get. get, but not much more going on with the head. Moving down here to the torso, very, very interesting spider logo, and also on that detail, there is even more sculpted detail throughout. I don't know if that detail is supposed to be anything specific, but at least to my eyes, it kind of looks like some Aztec looking shapes. I don't know if that's just me. Let me know if you kind of agree with that in the comments below. But yeah, definitely something of note. Very, very bulky torso. But yes, once again, that does go with the animated style, but I don't really have too much more to say on the torso. That design does continue down to the arms very, very nicely on the shoulders, and then goes down a little bit to the bicep. And then you do have these really, really, really big, kind of comically big hooks on his arms. I don't exactly know what to call them. The Batman things that Batman have, but these are like massive. They go all the way up to his shoulder, which is quite crazy, and they are very, very bendy, so definitely keep that in mind. Now for the hands, they do have some very nice detail on there. On the knuckles, you have that red design on both sides, both hands, which is very, very nice, and both sets as well. But then moving to the back of the figure, there you have the iconic Spider-Man 2099 cape, which is absolutely massive, at least in comparison to the previous Spider-Man 2099 by Marvel Legends. This one was very, very small in comparison. What I really do like about this new cape, though, is how it fades from red into just a complete clear color. That is very, very impressive, and it gets very, very clear. Like, you can see my whole finger through that, so I'm gonna call it impressively clear. On the back, though, there isn't much more going on, and you can't remove this, which I guess that is maybe a little bit of a problem for some people, but at the same time, I wouldn't have taken the cape off if that was an ability. And then another gripe I do have with this figure is this big bar, which that is to attach the cape. It's just, you can see it, because even though it is red and it's not as clear as down here, you still can see it because it is kind of translucent, and that does make the figure look a little bit cheaper. But that being said, doesn't ruin too much, especially because you're going to be looking at the figure most of the time from the front. But that's kind of all I have to say for the cape. But for the rest of the figure, not much more going on. The legs are pretty simple. You do have a little bit of red design right there, kind of a V looking pattern. Very, very nice. And then on the feet, you just have red bottoms. Not much more going on, but very, very small kind of legs compared to the upper torso. He's just jacked up there. I don't know. Did he miss leg day? Maybe. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of all I have to say for this Spider-Man 2099. So let's get on to his articulation. Now, for the articulation on this Spider-Man 2099, it is pretty good, but there are definitely some things left to be desired here, at least for me. The head articulation is the main thing. It only goes back that much, and down, kind of not at all. It does go down, but then it just bounces back up. A little bit of tilt. Overall, that's kind of your full range, which is okay, but especially with a character as agile as Spider-Man 2099, especially from the trailers, what we've seen, I just wish we could have got some better articulation for the head. Full 360, obviously. The arms do go up that much. Down, full 360, bicep swivel, double jointed, pinless elbows, which do look very good. Then both sets of hands are on horizontal hinges, so up, down, full 360, up, down, full 360. Ab crunch goes down that much. Back, you do see the gap, so definitely keep that in mind. And then waist cut, full 360, legs kick forward that much. Back, splits, upper thigh cut, double jointed, pinless knees, which do look good. And then the ankles go up, down, and beautiful ankle rocker pivot. Now, first for comparisons, here we have the Spider-Man 2099 next to the Miles Morales, as well as the Spider-Gwen from the same wave. And like I was mentioning, the animated style looks very good on the individual figures, but especially it comes to life when you compare them together, especially when we have these very, very skinny figures and then this hella bulky Spider-Man 2099. At least in my opinion, I think these look so very good together. Next up for comparisons, here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to Spider-Man 2099, as well as Spider-Man 2099. And I would hate to say Spider-Man 2099 10 times fast, and I am not going to. But as you can see, definitely very different colors going on here. This is the most shiny one by far. This is also pretty shiny, but definitely a little more matte, and then this is just completely matte. But looking at these, I kind of wish maybe we would have gotten a little shinier color on this figure. But that being said, looking at this compared to the actual movie and the promo that we have, it does look almost identical to it, so I don't even know if that really is anything to worry about. Here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to the upcoming villain of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse being the Spot, as well as the previous villain from Into the Spider-Verse being Prowler. Is he a villain? I don't know, but maybe we're looking at all the villains from the Into the Spider-Verse franchise. Here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to Spider-Man Noir, as well as Spider-Punk. Here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to Cyborg Spider-Woman, as well as Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. Here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to the Peter B. Parker, as well as Spider-Ham, and then just a standard Bucky Cap Hydra Soldier figure. Lastly, for comparisons, here we have Spider-Man 2099 next to the animated, retro-carded, cel-shaded Spider-Man, as well as Moon Knight. You're probably wondering why Moon Knight, but both of these characters are voiced/played by the epic, amazing, wondrous Oscar Isaac. Now, for my final thoughts on this Spider-Man 2099 figure, I gotta say, I really have come around on this figure. Even after opening it, I was still a little bit on the fence, but after doing this review and playing around with this figure for a decent amount of time, I really have come around to enjoy it quite a bit. But for my rating of this figure with the price in the count, kind of just being a standard Marvel Legends price here in Canada, I think I'm gonna give him like an 8.2. I think that is a fair rating overall. There are definitely a lot of things missed here, especially with the claws and no extra head. But what we do get here is good enough, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that. As always, let me know what you think of this figure in the comments below. I really do want to hear what you guys have to say. And until my next video, thank you so much for watching this one. I have been Jagger Collector. He has been Spider-Man 2099. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.